Hello, all you hardcores out there. How you doing? We'll see from Porky's Corner, biggest goal in sport. We're just waiting for Joe to enter the fray, and he's here. Bang on time. You can always set your clock by Julian. He's Mr. Company Man for time, aren't you, Julian? You like Mick Whale, aren't you? You know what Mick Whale used to say to me? He said, Porky, I say, what? And he go, what time's that? I go, and it's because he's ex-army, and he said, listen, you know, wars, they're lost because people are late. He'd always used to say that to me, Mick Whale. So I always tried to be on time, you know, after that. You're a bit like that.
On time, mate. I'm regimented. I know I am, sometimes to a fault. But we were talking earlier about boxers saying, you know, gonna, should have, could have, would have. If I say I'm going to do something, I do it. It's that simple, mate. It's as simple as that.
You know what I tend to find? You know, years ago when I were like carrying loads of weight, I'd say, you know what, on Monday I'm going to get up and I'm going to do this and do that. But the mindset's wrong, isn't it?
Monday, why Monday? What? Yeah, do it now. Do it. You know what I mean? Why wait until Monday?
Get my trainers on, have a bit of a stretch, and then I go do it. And I'm all right after the first few minutes. Once they start getting, you know, years ago, it'd be like the actual, oh God, I've got to do that tomorrow, and I've shut my mouth. And my dad would be like, "Dad, getting up in morning, and I'd be up, and I'd be like, oh, cold. Now I'm not really bothered about it. I don't know if it's got. I think my mindset's probably changed. Obviously, I'm not drugged up all the time, am I now? So
it's like you said to me, right? Once you tell a lie, you gotta either shut the lie down or tell another lie, right? And it works the same with me.
Manny Beard moment, isn't it, Joel?
If someone says to me they're going to do something and they don't do it, mentally I'll have you down on the unreliable list in my mind. I'll never forget that moment. It won't do me a bad person. It just means I've got you down with in an unreliable bracket.
I think me and Dennis have had 3 scraps. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of course. Every time I'd say, whoa, that's not what you said. I said that. Hang on a minute, Dennis. Here you go, that's what you said.
Why do you think I fall out with boxers, or I've sacked boxers off? Because
have you fell out with Max?
Me and Max haven't fallen out, but it's as simple with anybody, right? My time's valuable. Yeah. And if you haven't got the level of dedication or commitment that I have, it's going nowhere. It's as simple as that. So all it is I will never fall out with anybody over boxing ever again. But what I do is, in terms of boxing, I won't discuss boxing with you because it's just that's how my life is, mate. You know that. If I'm going to do something, I do it. Not better than anybody else, right? But I'm reliable. I've worked for the same company for 30 years. I've done this.
30 odd years.
You know what I mean? I'm 31 years, work for the same business, right? But what I'm saying is I'm consistent. Bit boring, whatever you want to call me. I'm not right bothered.
You're that guy with big pension, aren't you?
I don't know about that. Gone through an expensive divorce. Some of the pension's gone, but
that's part and parcel of being a man, isn't it, nowadays? You get divorced.
Yeah, it's no biggie. It's one
look
of those.
At Cameron now, he gets married, doesn't he? Tomorrow he's abroad and that, getting married.
Oh, is he getting married?
He's gone away.
Some people last the distance and some people don't. It's as simple as that.
Here. Sprung it up. He goes, oh yeah, I'm getting married. I went, God, man down.
But that's another thing, like, you know, this is my personal life, but, you know, I separated about 6 years ago from my wife, my ex-wife. We get on, we're good friends. But I just basically said, you know, right, what about that as a proposal? And she went, yeah, that's fine. And everything I said I would do as part of that settlement, I've done.
Well, everything. Boxers don't do what they say they're going to do, and promoters don't always do it, do they? The spinning shite. What we've got at the moment, we've got grown men spinning lies about Saudi, and none of them. Have you noticed how George Warren and Frank have not come out and said a dicky, have they?
But they never did with the Fury AJ unification, did they?
All we've got is Big Mouth from Essex working his mouth yet again after everything he said before about blowing deals and he's going to keep his mouth shut. He's yet again gone shouting and bawling over there.
Can't help it.
And Fury's doing the same thing. And between pair of them, they're trying to do each other's heads in. But what they're doing, They're doing everybody else's heads in, boxing fans.
I think it was I might be wrong. I think it was the Tyson Fury, Dillian White fight. I said to you, when Bob Arum says it's done, it's done.
Yeah.
If Bob says it's done, it's done. I'm not suggesting he's whiter than white, but it was the same with the unification. One at Fury Joshua 2 years or two, whenever it was, 3 years, I forget. It was Eddie never learned from it because he can't stop talking. He has to talk about everything because he likes the coverage he gets, and he gets massive coverage. He's a big celebrity. He's more well known than most fighters in boxing, and he can't stop talking about, next week it'll be done. 24 hours it'll be done. Next 2 hours it'll be done. It's never done, is it?
Like Flex single, innit, Flex? You can't stop talking, can you, Flex? Come and see me.
People just do, and
Shut the mouths off.
Like I said, in boxing, and Terry and Rico, these are guys who've got good jobs, and their corporate life will tell you exactly the same thing. People in boxing, people say you couldn't survive in boxing, it's a tough sport. Most people in boxing couldn't survive in corporate life. You couldn't do it because you have to deliver on what your mouth starts going that. When you're working in corporate life, you better deliver on it. You better do a good job about it. You can't just talk nonsense and talk rubbish because you won't last 2 minutes. So it works both ways. And we've said this before, right? I've been called the emails you get, the vile emails when we said Fury's vileness, right? I got vileness for saying Fury and Usyk won't happen.
You get shit put through your letterbox though, did you? Dog shit.
I didn't get not yet. That might happen, but I got vileness for saying they won't fight. But it's the same people who are vile didn't say in May when the fight didn't happen. You were right. Oh, you don't realise, Jules, this is what Fury does. It's great PR. He's a clever man. He knows exactly what he's doing. It'll happen.
He's telling lies, inventing stuff that hasn't happened. Why do you think Warren and them fucking were swerving him, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
They deal with him. How can Warren deal with him? He's used to having it all his own way in a 40-odd year. How can he deal with them?
Well, he said he'd sent a contract to Anthony Joshua, didn't he?
Who did? Tyson.
Tyson said they sent a contract.
I've seen that on.
Sent a contract to AJ, and AJ and Eddie are like, we had an email saying, do you want to have a chat? But contract? The crackers.
He sent somebody a text saying, I'm offering you this. To them, it's a contract.
Didn't he turn around and say something like, Andy Ruiz was asking for 20 million? What a load of nonsense.
Nonsense.
As if Andy Ruiz, who's probably boxing now for a couple of million a time, as if Andy Ruiz is going to ask for
Sam Watson come out and said it's not true. He's their spokesman, isn't he? And I'd believe him. He's half all right, him, Sam. I've had emails of him. He's all right, him. So it's half not true.
Well, Tyson Fury is the best fighter on the planet. Fine. That's no one's disputing that. He's got balls like that. No one's disputing any of those things with Tyson. But you cannot believe a word that comes out of his mouth because, as I've said before, he's made 3 defenses of his heavyweight championship in God knows how many years. It's not legacy. This is not a legacy thing.
It's way off a legacy anyway. I don't think he'll have a legacy, mate, because
there won't be a legacy.
He's 35 now.
What's he going to do it if he carries on at the pace that he's been doing for the last 2 years? In the next 2 or 3 years, he'll have had 4 more fights, and 3 of them will have been against nobody. So that's not legacy forming, is it? No. It's not legacy.
Look at Holyfield's record. Lennox Lewis as Ali, Foreman.
Names everywhere. Consistent fighters. Fighting every 3 months, every 4 months. Consistent fighters.
But Tommy Morrison's record, this is a better CV than Tyson Fury. We're flogging people on the spot.
Even if you look at Ray Mercer, he had a load of defeats, but Mercer
beat Lennox, him got robbed.
He fought top fighters all the time, did Ray Mercer. Tim Witherspoon, look who Tim Witherspoon boxed. Look, these. I'm not talking about great fighters. Tim Witherspoon's a brilliant, brilliant fighter. But if you look at the guys that these people have boxed, whether they beat him or whether they didn't, they don't look back on their career and say, you know what, he ducked him, he didn't fight him. And it's a joke, actually, is heavyweight boxing now, because people are turning off from it. And the best thing what we've had is we've had Davis Garcia, we've had Lomachenko Haney, and now we've got Spence and Crawford. People are forgetting once again about the heavyweight championship of the world. Like, do you know what? it's rubbish. It's nonsense. They're talking rubbish, and they're starting to make these unbelievable fights at the lower weight division, and that's what boxing's about. So I said to you, boxing will keep my interest as long as we continue to make these really good fights. We've had 2 good featherweight title fights at the weekend, good fights. That keeps my interest in boxing. I've got hardly any interest in heavyweight boxing, hardly any at all.
Well, I can't understand how. I mean, look, we all hear rumours in boxing, and somebody says, no, this is what happened, this is what happened. So I'm going to try and piece it together. The Usyk fight, looking at it from outset, you were getting 45 million to fight Usyk, all right? This is before all the Saudi stuff, yeah?
Yeah.
And then, but Usyk were getting 15, but he was happy with that. But he wanted more, didn't he, Fury? So how much more?
How much do you want?
More? I've heard 3 million, I've heard 2. What is the difference if the upside's 40 to 45 million? What is the difference between another couple of million? I don't get that. And keeping the fight in the UK as well. So now we're in a situation where nobody dares sign anything to do anything in the UK because there's that little whiff. Senator, like fucking him, innit? Silence at Lands, there's that little bit of whiff of that Saudi lolly. So none of them dare sign fuck all, dare they? Because they want that Saudi lolly to fuck with UK fans, to fuck with them, that's what they're saying. So why don't the UK fans say, to fuck with you fuckers?
Genuinely.
Do it now.
I mean this. We're talking about heavyweights.
And in 2 years from now, we could all be talking about a great sport.
Yeah. If you close down the heavyweight division now, it won't bother me.
It's closed down already, mate. Yeah, it's closed down. It's been closed down since Christmas now, isn't it?
Well, the reality is, even though it wasn't everybody's, favorite heavyweight to watch, Vladimir Klitschko might have been the last ever great heavyweight champion. I'll get hammered for that comment, but if you think about his defenses, 10 years unbeaten.
He beat 20 world champions.
20. He wasn't my...
Fury beat 4.
I wouldn't put Klitschko in the best...
over Wilder, Cunningham an old man cruiser, and Vlad an old man heavyweight. Wilder limited. And that's Fury's CV. 2 Wilder, Vladimir and Cunningham a cruiser. Life and death, Cunningham. 2 lives and death with Wilder. And a Vladimir where he fucking stunk the arena out. That's the Fury GOAT. That's all you Fury fanboys. That's his CV. That doesn't even match Richie Woodall's because he's got 5 wins over world champion.
When he beat Vladimir, I think he outlanded Vladimir something like 60-odd punches to 50-odd punches. You'd never seen a heavyweight championship fight with so few punches landed.
You know why? Because they're running clock down.
Sparring.
Listen, let me tell you Tyson's style. First time I seen it, I watched him in that gym with Frank Smith from Bed. We watched him. And I said, he can fight every style, every move. He's got it all. Listen, we're not taking note away from the kid.
No, he can fight.
He's a masterful boxer. But I always felt there were more in his locker. And we've seen it, haven't we? But we haven't seen the other stuff, the early stuff, because his legs have gone, haven't they?
Yeah.
Nobody wants to talk about the legs going. They're all saying, look what he's added to his game. But yeah, look what Tyson's lost from his game. There's a difference, isn't there? What he's added, is that enough to make up for all the losses? I don't think it is, because I think he'll get into more difficulty because his legs have gone. He can't get out of the way. It's like I was trying to explain to Max when he had him sat downstairs here. So, Max, if you're carrying too much timber, you're not going to be able to get out of the way, are you? Plus, you're not going to be able to land. So, if you get it off, and Tyson had the same problem, but he couldn't get it off. He come in camp and train like a Trojan, like you've never seen.
Yeah.
Sweat pouring off him every single session. Every single session, no matter what, no off session. There isn't no off sessions repeater anyway. But every session he put effort in. And that's why he's a champion. But he's got every style. But I always felt that his style were based on mainly feints. Loads of feints. And actually, not doing anything because you got 3 minutes in a round, haven't we? He has all them feint. There might be 14 to 16 feints, and then he'll be going back, and it's adding another little couple of seconds to it, innit? And each individual one is running clock down, innit? And before you know
You
it,
also have
when's the actual fighting in the round? There isn't any, is there? It's a bit like fighting Andre Ward. He gets a couple of jabs on you early on, then he just ties you up and stays that way, doesn't he? Because that round is like Terry Harper does the same thing, doesn't she? And she's only got 2 minutes in a round. See where I'm coming from? And I felt that Tyson was like that, but when his legs went, he realised in that first Vladimir one, not Flip, the Wilder, the puncher.
Yeah.
The first Wilder fight, he got caught at end, didn't he? Because his legs weren't right. I'll sleep on it. I'll sleep on it tonight and tell you it morning, yeah? I'll take your dog. All right. Bye. 20 quid, bye. Unbelievable, isn't it? You know, you today go into your parents' bedroom and ask for £1, 170. Your dad would just go, get out of it. Walking in, can I have 20 quid for Oaks and send something on an iPad? Yeah, put an application into Bubble in morning in office. Prison Bubble.
Mine the same.
So his style, mate, basically, is like jerky fumbling and running clock down. It's all very well against someone like Vladimir, isn't it? But really, he picked his pocket, Vladimir's, didn't he?
There's an element as well when you think about skill, and I'm not deriding Tyson, but what you just said there,
skills
right?
To burn.
But he's also 6'8", awkward, or 6'9", depending on what you believe.
6'10", as somebody's texted me earlier. 6'7", 6'7", actually.
So if he's 6'7", 6'8", he's very awkward. So there's an element of his reach and his size makes him hard to beat. Now, if you think of the skill level of a Holyfield or Usyk, their skill level different planet, because they're
attacking guys. More, aren't they? They're more attacking.
Also smaller guys who are having to who can outbox bigger guys and they can outfight bigger guys. So for me, that there's an element of that skill level.
Holyfield used to rip into them big guys, didn't he?
Holyfield was, I know there's people always bring up the PEDs when they talk about Holyfield, but he never failed a test, but you can only go on that. Did he later on his? I don't know, but Holyfield was a brilliant fighter, and I remember watching him in the early days in the pros when he was cruiserweight fighting, the Ricky Parkers and Mutties and guys like that, and it was phenomenal. And then when he started his ascension through heavyweights, he could do everything, couldn't he? He could box. His combination punching was unbelievable. But it's just, as I said with Tyson, I want to use the word dominant champion, but he's not a dominant champion, because to be a dominant champion, you have to dominate the division, don't you? And I think he's the best in the heavyweight division, but I don't think he's ever going to be a dominant champion, because I think it's going to be one of those. He'll probably get beat within his next 2 or 3 fights. He's getting older. As you've said, his legs are going. And, he has been dropped 4 times against Wilder.
That's what I was saying to you. When he got dropped against Wilder the first time, and he got back up, didn't he, and fight more or less ended, didn't he? And they give it as a drop.
Yeah.
He's saying, he wants to knock him out and all that after. No. His legs are gone.
Yeah.
The change, we all know what happened.
You put 10 stone on, you have all those years out, you can't come back the same.
Changed trainers and that, didn't he, and whatnot, and we've seen it, haven't we? And he had to develop a style because his legs are gone. Now Ben Davison were trying to get him to fight in a defensive style, but he didn't have the legs to do it.
The mobility wasn't there, was it?
If you're getting caught by a Wilder who's technically shite, you've got a problem, haven't you, against something like Usyk. So they changed his style. He's now come out as this big puncher, and we're not seeing the movement and all that nonsense. With a bit of movement, there's no running and he hasn't got the work rate, has he? He's not a 20-round fighter like he used to be, is he, back in the day? So they changed his style, but people think that he's added to what but he lost what he had before. Bit like Ali when he came back after that 3.5 year out. He came back and he went to ropes, didn't he? He weren't the same guy that were on his toes, were he, before?
Different style, yeah. The mobility.
That weren't Ali's fault, because Father Time don't wait for anybody, and I don't think it's Tyson Fury's fault, because he had that long layoff and he tried to be the Tyson of old, but he couldn't do it, could it, for full 12, because he kept getting caught by Wilder, didn't he?
Larry Holmes's legs went in his early 30s, and the mobility he had against Jerry Cooney, he lost that over the next couple. Even before Michael Spinks beat him, Holmes had lost his mobility.
He was on slide before then. I remember him seeing him have a fight with Tim Witherspoon. I thought Tim nicked it.
It was just the mobility wasn't there, and then
Did you watch that? The Tim Witherspoon.
I did, and then I thought the Bone Crusher Smith fight. It wasn't the same. It was, and this is what happens to heavyweights, isn't it? People say, we're fighting longer, we're living longer, all this kind of stuff. But I think you'd be surprised I'd be very surprised if someone said Tyson's best years were ahead of him anyway.
Tyson Fury's? No, I don't think they are.
Behind him, that he's a tremendously brave fighter. He's exciting.
Behind him. If he fights Usyk, he can't employ the Tyson style that he beat Vladimir. That's why they don't want the Usyk style, because he ain't got them legs. He'll not be able to keep up with Usyk. He's got to sit down on his punches and bully Usyk. And that's food and drink to Usyk, isn't it? Because Joshua tried to do that all night to him, didn't he? And he just picked him off. So if he can't resort to people saying, oh, well, Tyson's got more to his game. No. Get it out your fucking head, you arse lickers. That Tyson from 2008 to 15, that's gone. That's gone. Yeah, 23 now, 2023. He's been a pro 15 years. He's not that man no more. So the 23 version is not as quick, not as mobile on his feet, and don't throw as many punches, but he's got a bit more pop in his punches because he's got to sit down on them now, hasn't he? Because he can't get on his bike. But people still think he can do that. When has he last done that? He tried it in that first Wilder fight, and he got dropped twice. Second time very heavy, didn't he? He ain't there. He's never gone nowhere near that style since, but people think he has. Have you seen him fight like that? I haven't.
No. I mean, he obviously had his
did that against Dylan White anyway, did Chisora? They were sparring sessions for him.
Easy.
I've seen him spar Dylan. And I saw him fight Chisora twice before that third time.
I think Fury could have probably beat Chisora and not even bothered training. He could have just turned up and just battered him.
He wouldn't have trained for that. I'm surprised his dad didn't fill him in. His dad would have probably given Chisora a decent go at this stage of his game, wouldn't he?
It's such a shame, though, isn't it? Because we should be talking about Tyson Fury, undisputed heavyweight champion, 8-9 title defenses down the line, and we shouldn't be talking critical of him. We should be like immensely proud of him and looking forward to the big Fury fight nights. But it's become a joke, hasn't it? Heavyweight boxing's become majorly disappointing for everybody.
The joke, sponsors pulling out left, right, and centre, not wanting to put money on shows for heavyweight. So what does that tell you? If it's starting at the top of the tree, something's being said, and they're filtering down to say, listen, we're not going to back this. They've got problems.
They're all waiting for the Saudi money.
Not Joshua, Tyson Fury, and Eddie Hearn. I'm not even going to put Bricktop at Mix or Adam because they've been around too long. They can't deal with Tyson, and Eddie's just fucking low to himself, isn't he? Do you know what I mean?
Tyson Fury does whatever he wants. Let's do the Okolie one. Let's do Lawrence Okolie. Said we'd cover that one.
The sauce. Right, this is how I look at it. And I've said it for years. Ever since he fought Matty Askin, I said I won't watch him again. Oh, no, he's with Shane now. I mean, shit. To me, he's with Shane. I mean, garbage. He's a fucking Cub Scout as a trainer. What is he, 29 or something, 30? He's a Cub Scout. He's got loads to learn. Just like Ben Davison. Oh, he's with Shane. Well, listen, I watched him with Shane. He's still the same. Load of shit. I went open my curtains to watch him. Load of crap. You mind bringing all these songs out, Pussy in a Slip and all this nonsense, living in Dubai? Who's going to take him on now? Because I said to Dennis yesterday, will you sign Lawrence Okolie? Was he having a laugh? Oh, as he's a former world champion, he says, he don't bring no to the table. He don't do tickets, horrible style. Who's going to want to watch him on TV? And Dennis is right, they've got to go the mandatory route with him now to get him back in mix. But nobody's going to want to fight him anyway. And what sanctioning body is going to want to lobby for him to go on telly now? Am I right? I fucking know I'm right. I've been in meetings with these people. I've seen names of people, I'm not going to say you, and they've gone, hey, we want lobbying for this person. They're going to go like that, and when they pass him a cola, they're going to go, wah! They don't want him on. They don't want him on. TV didn't want Andre Ward. Andre Ward had to retire, you know. TV didn't want him. You do know
it wasn't glamorous, was it, in any way?
After Kovalev, they went, That were it. They didn't want to know, mate. And he was just stinking out arenas.
Yeah.
Okolie's been stinking them out since amateurs.
But the difference is with Andre Ward and Okolie is I've always been consistent on your channel. And anyone who turns around and says, Olympic bronze medalist, look, I've always said he can't fight, right?
Oh, Okolie.
Okolie can't fight. Eddie Hearn was wrongly criticised by Okolie. Eddie Hearn got him to...
He did well for Okolie.
Hearn did brilliantly for Okolie because there's something about that guy who's terrified when he gets in the ring. I don't care what anybody says. Now, there was a moment, that fight on Saturday night, I mean, it was like one of the worst things I've ever seen. I watched it Sunday morning and I was just half watching it because I couldn't.
Okolie's stinking arena out.
Can't watch him. And there was a moment when, by the way, I never thought it was world class. Big statement. That was my own point of view. Never thought it was world class ever. And on Saturday night, I think it was the beginning of the third round or the fourth round. I've never seen a fighter do this. Generally, when a fighter holds, he holds because he's in an uncomfortable position, he's against the ropes, or he's been hurt, or he's been stunned, and he looked to grab. Now, there was a moment, it might be the third round, fourth round, the bell goes, and Okolie walked all the way across the ring and grabbed him. He literally walked all the way across the ring, was looking to grab before the round had even was in its first 5 seconds. And I'm just watching, thinking, what is he doing? It was like, I'd have thrown him out.
The referee trying to knock him out with being all them points down.
He's just got nothing about him, but he literally grabs before. You know, like some fighters throw a combo, get walked down, grab. It's messy, it's hard to watch. But he's actually grabbing as he's punching at the same time. He'll throw a right hand and he'll walk in looking for the clinch. And I think he's had really soft referees throughout his career. He should have been booted out of the ring at least 5 times in his career. He needs to retire or get a hypnotherapist or something because he's terrified of. He's terrified.
He needs it, man. One there between eyeballs.
Honestly, I'm going to go Johnny the Entertainer Nelson.
Johnny Nelson, Carlos de Leon.
Johnny Nelson's way more entertaining than Lawrence Okolie.
I'll fire him. Must be bad.
He's absolutely dreadful. So, I mean, Bill and Smith, I just thought I was watching 2 average domestic.
Johnny Nelson nearly lost his job as a doorman over that fight, you know. You can't fight, mate. You're going to be no good on door.
And then he
at least a leather jacket.
Well, maybe Lawrence Okolie should suffer what Johnny Nelson had after that fight because...
Well, people queuing up at gym to Paris.
Well, Brendan put him on the road, didn't he? He got him big fights against dangerous heavyweights and there was some tough learning fights for him and tough losing fights for him. And he came back a better fighter. But Lawrence Okolie now, what's he going to get? Is he going to get an immediate rematch? Was there a rematch clause? How do you sell that fight?
Sky, how are they going to sell that?
Oh, you can't sell that.
He's on an undercard job, but he'll be on a deal for money in that because he was champion. Lawrence Okolie's not bothered. He's got a contract with Sky. They've got to honour it. Sky have bought 2 cars that have got no engines, haven't they?
Do you know what? Max will tell you this, and Gary will tell you this.
He doesn't need to sign Max Sky to go for an hat-trick.
Any fight I've ever told you will tell you this about me. Genuinely, right? There's been certain things that boxers have done, and I've just said, you do that again, I'm going to throw a towel in. Couldn't care less, I'm going to throw a towel in. If you do that again, you can find somewhere else to train. Certain things I won't go into. Now, if I were Lawrence, talk about Sugar Hill being coaches, literally, he must spar like that. And if Shane McGuigan had him for a couple of years, and if he were my fighter in the gym, I'd just say, you grab hold of him one more time, get out of the gym, you can go train somewhere else. Because that, holding what he does, is the worst display of boxing I've ever seen in my life.
How come he never got disqualified for that?
Unbelievable. How many times you tell a guy that the golden rule is...
Marcus McDonald, you're a bent cunt. Go now while you can, you mug.
You should have thrown him out after fucking 3 seconds. I'd have just kicked him out straight away. The only way Lawrence Okolie will learn is if he gets thrown out. Henry Akinwande got thrown out against Lennox Lewis. He put up a more of a performance than Okolie did. Kick him out. That's what I would have done. Kick him out. And if I was a coach still, I wouldn't work with him. I couldn't work with him. And I'm not ripping the guy to bits as a personality, but that's not boxing. That's not fighting. I mean, what are you?
Sugar Hill's performance. I thought he would have come to Sugar Hill. He's the best.
Now, Sugar Hill is actual folklore because this Kronk style, what the Furies were kept on. This is
Kronk style.
That's not the Kronk style.
What about the Steffi Bull style? He's got a gym. He's a gym owner. What's his style? Oh, yeah, I forgot. They run backwards.
But the Kronk style, anybody who says that Tyson Fury or Lawrence Okolie have got this Kronk style.
The sorcerer.
It was awful.
Out to Mark Thames. He's the best. He trains porn stars.
I went from watching Lee Wood and Lara and Conlon and Lopez to watching Sunday morning to watching Lawrence Okolie.
The sauce.
Yeah, WBO champion, bronze medalist. I never achieved anything even remotely near that level. But I'll tell you something, mate. I've got more balls in a ring than you've ever had because it was awful. Grabbing fighters as soon as the bell goes I've got to be honest, the first time I've ever seen that in watching boxing 40 odd years, genuinely, walking across the ring to grab a fighter as soon as the bell sounds. I'll see if I can find the round and I'll send you. I've never seen that in all my life in boxing.
Who want to grab another man anyway? Unless you've not punched his head in, you don't want to hug him to death. Punch holes in him. Okay, I mean, Lawrence has got to be embarrassed about that now. I mean,
who's more embarrassed, Lawrence or the judge who had it a draw? I don't know.
Or Marcus McDonald for being on take. Yeah, Marcus
McDonald should have kicked him out.
Marcus McDonald, yet again, the new fucking Terry O'Connor.
Well, the golden rule, you tell him 3 times for an infringement, you take a point off. The next time you tell him, you take 2 points off. The next time you tell him, you kick him out. That's how referees are supposed to work. Those are the rules. 6, 7 infringements, you're out. He was doing at least 15 to 20 infringements every single round of that fight.
Easily. Like Ward did. I've seen all paperwork for fractures. I can't believe what he did. You should have kept Kessler's.
I'll tell you who used to do that. They used to do it.
Kessler's both eyeballs, then they will cut the massive mouth. They were swat. They got away with murder. It's up to the referee to get control of the fight. Early doors, as Ron Atkinson says.
I'll tell you, 2 fighters, and I won't be popular for saying this. One of them, 2 fighters. He used to throw a combination, headlock you. McGee, who Froch beat, and Ricky Hatton. You watch Ricky Hatton's career.
John Paxton.
Left hook, headlock. Boom, boom, boom. Paxton, headlock. Which referee's allowing this to happen?
Well, if Ricky Hatton, he'd have had Mickey Van, Bricktop's right-hand man, so he'd have got away with murder on all them WBO appearances. WBU appearances, sorry, because he had loads of defences of that belt, didn't he, Ricky?
Well, he cut Stephen Smith with the elbow, didn't he, did Ricky Hatton? Wasn't intentional, but...
What is Stephen Smith? Stephen Smith, are you sure?
Stephen Smith was, I know Stephen. It was Darky Son's lad, and I know
from Leeds. From Stephen Smith from Leeds.
Stephen Smith from Hull. Well, he's in Hull now.
Not Stephen Smith from the Beatles at Liverpool.
Stevie Smith, originally from London.
That's Swifty, isn't it? Swifty. He's a good little
Darky Smith's son.
Yeah. That's Nick Manners' pal, isn't it, Darky Smith?
That was when Stephen Smith Hatton was. I know the full story behind that, but Ricky caught him with an elbow and cut, and that's why Darky Smith was going nuts with Mickey Van. If you remember, he got in the ring and he shoved Mickey Van, and he got banned.
It with John Paxton, and John Paxton fucking got stuck. Give him some back, didn't he?
But the Hatton headlock, you watch it now. Anybody who's a Hatton fan, and I'm not anti-Ricky, by the way, the tremendous fighter. But anybody who's a Hatton fan, watch a Ricky Hatton fight backwards. Watch him against Costas Zoo. Count the headlocks. Count the headlocks against Floyd Mayweather. Count the headlocks all the way through his career. Bang, 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 headlock. bending a guy's neck down like that, it's not on. But you're going to be a brave referee to disqualify Ricky Hatton, aren't you, at the MEN?
We spoke about Conlon. We spoke about Lawrence. What's the other fight? What other one did we speak about that?
I don't know what else there was at the weekend. I only watched the main events.
What do you think to Billy Joe coming back? Think it'll happen? I don't.
Come back to do what? I mean, Fab Fighter, inactive, was never very active, even when he was WBO champion.
But he ain't got a date, and he's 25 months out at ring.
Got folded in half. Got folded in half by Albeit, a very great fighter. And you know what? There was something about that right bolo shot that Canelo landed. It just took his soul away, didn't it? You saw his soul drain from him. Billy Joe's soul went from him. And I think Billy Joe was always such a confident fighter that whilst he was unbeaten, he'd still had that kind of, I want to be a fighter. And maybe one shot has ultimately just taken his soul away. I don't think his stomach's for boxing anymore.
Don't you?
No. And what's he going to be? Is he going to come back at this advanced stage of his career quicker?
Come back for money, isn't he?
He's not going to come back as a better fighter, is he?
Oh,
he's not going to come back at light middleweight, is he? Enjoy your millions, Billy Joe. He won everything there was to win. And
I always feel that glass half full win, because I always think there were just more that we never got to see, and I think it
was an empty reign. It was an empty reign, wasn't it? A WBO reign. It was if you try to think back, I know the Lemieux fight was a good win, but very limited was David Lemieux. But if you try and think back and look at his through a microscope and look at that 5 years, it wasn't a great reign, was it, since he beat Andy Lee?
No, it wasn't.
Inactivity, debatable decisions. It was dragging Michael Murray out of retirement. It was poor, mate. It was poor.
Andy Lee win, Lemieux, and Joe Ryder.
Maybe.
Good wins there for Billy. Eubank win, I suppose. That was split, wasn't it? But that's like 4 wins there. Really much else on his CV. It's a bit like Fury, isn't it? A bit Fred Burr.
It's I think it's a fair statement. Very talented fighters, but I mean, who would you say has got the best CV right now in British boxing?
British boxing.
Last 10 years. No, 2 minutes left.
10 year Froch.
2014. When did he finish?
14 May.
Oh, that's a fair comment then, yeah.
All right, then it lasts 8 years.
I'm not saying because he's your mate. I'd be hard pressed to say anyone beats Froch CV wise. Last 10-year British fighters.
Oh, last 10 years. Joshua, do me a favour. 5 wins over world champions. What about Fury? He's got 4 wins. That makes 9. That's still less than Froch. Fucking combined. Hey?
So then I wasn't intending to put that.
Conor Ben, fucking do me a favour.
I wasn't intending to do this.
Talking about a man here. Do you know, somebody wrote about it to me the other day. People must get drink down and want to collar me about boxing. They see me and zoom in. I see him zooming in on me.
But you can.
3 o'clock, one coming up at... Hey, mate. Oh, Porky, what's happening with Conor Ben? Crusher. Oh, and it all starts, doesn't it? Oh, I'm like that. Then somebody will pipe, oh, we don't eat Crusher, leave me alone. I want to kill him.
Right, we're down last 5 seconds, Russell. So best CV last 10 year, Carl Froch. I think that's done.
All right then. Hey, you take care.
Okay, buddy. Speak soon.
Peace out. Bye-bye.
Bye, mate.